I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about adverb clauses. And if you are someone who enjoys improving your grammar skills, please subscribe, turn on notifications. That way I can become your teacher. My name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English. It's all about trying to help you reach your fluency goals. So right now, we're going to talk about one of the coolest parts of grammar, adverb clauses. And I really mean that. I say that they're cool because they help you add more details whenever speaking or writing, allowing you to describe how, where, when, or why something happens. So these adverb clauses, they're good to keep in your back pocket to be able to use at a moment's notice. So let's break this down step by step. What are adverb clauses? First things first, let's define an adverb clause. This is a group of words that functions like an adverb in a sentence, which means they modify verbs, adjectives, or even other adverbs and give extra information about things like time, reason, condition, or place. But an adverb clause is different than a regular adverb because it has both a subject and a verb. However, an adverb clause is a dependent clause. You need a main clause as well, which means an adverb clause on its own is not a full sentence. I went home because it was raining. Because it was raining, this is our adverb clause. It is not a complete sentence. We need the independent clause, I went home. Now at the beginning of our adverb clause, we have a subordinating conjunction, because. Subordinating conjunctions are words that connect independent and dependent clauses. So the word because, this is our subordinating conjunction. And this adverb clause in particular, because it was raining, gives us information and tells us why. And this leads me into the next thing that I want to talk about, the functions of adverb clauses. Let's explore what adverb clauses do. They answer questions like when, why, where, and how. And I want to break this down into 6 different categories, and we will begin with time. Adverb clauses of time tell us when something happens. They often begin with certain words, those subordinating conjunctions like when, before, after, while, until, as soon as, or by the time. As soon as I get to work, I check my email. This tells us when I'm checking my email. Or I will call you when I get home. I brushed my teeth before I went to bed. By the time I arrived at the restaurant, everyone had finished eating. These dependent clauses tell us when something happens. And I want you to keep in mind that the subordinating conjunction, by the time, this tells us that the main verb in our independent clause is either the future perfect or the past perfect.
By the time I left, they'd rebuilt so much of it.
I came as soon as I got word.
Evan's mom used to read this to him every night before he went to bed.
I know it's a lot to take in right now, but this is when people make small mistakes, especially when writing. So let's turn our attention to condition. Adverb clauses of condition show us the condition under which something happens, and they often start with if, unless, or provided that. You can go out if you finish your homework. That is the condition for going out. Or I could say, I usually sleep with the window open unless it's really cold outside. Or provided that I eat a big breakfast, I can skip lunch.
My unpopularity is going to follow me to college. Unless you help.
She seemed like the best candidate provided we weren't thinking about her in that moment.
So condition, simple enough. Let's talk about reason. Adverb clauses of reason explain why something happens. And these usually begin with because, since, or as. She studied hard because she wanted to pass the test. So passing the test is the reason why she was studying. Or they canceled the marathon since it was raining. Or I didn't go to the party as I was feeling tired.
You got your job because you're hot.
Today we are going to team up for sales calls. Andy, since this was your idea, you get to pick first.
In these examples, you can really use these subordinating conjunctions interchangeably. But of course, because is by far the most commonly used word. Now let's continue with purpose, which is a little similar to reason, and sometimes they're lumped together. However, there is a slight difference. So adverb clauses of purpose explain the reason for taking a specific action. And often they begin with so that, in case, in order to, or in order that. He woke up early so that he would not be late for work. Or I'm going to write myself a note in case I forget. She studied hard in order to pass the exam. Or I could say she studied hard in order that she passed the exam.
I made you children feel small, confused about your own powers, so that I could control you.
In case of emergency, please contact Amy Farrah Fowler.
Just know that in order to and in order that, they really have the same meaning, but the sentence structure is slightly different. In order to, you're going to follow that with a base verb, and in order that, you'll follow that with a subject. Now, in order that, it is more formal, and maybe you would end up using it more in academic writing. And to be honest, in spoken English, it does sound a little awkward to my ears, but that's maybe just me. Anyway, just something to keep in mind. Moving right along, contrast. Adverb clauses of contrast show how two actions, ideas, or situations are different, and they often begin with although, though, even though, or whereas. Although it was raining, we went for a walk. This introduces a contrast between the rain and going for a walk. I enjoyed the movie, though the ending was a bit predictable. Or I could say, even though we didn't win the competition, we tried our best. I prefer reading novels, whereas my friend prefers watching movies.
No, John, you've got enough on your plate.
Oh.
Whereas I have nothing but free time.
I remember it as if it were yesterday.
Oh, that was only a few hours ago.
Don't worry, even though we just met you, we think you're right and he's wrong.
Because we're talking about grammar, I want you to know that although, though, and even though are really interchangeable. Maybe you will use even though if you just want to add some more emphasis. And now that brings us to place. Adverb clauses of place talk about where something happens, and they typically begin with where or wherever. This is the house where I live. Talking about where this happens. Or wherever you go, that's where you are. It's very philosophical, but true.
Because wherever you go, Robert's wrath will follow you.
You know, when I used to get really sad in the place where I used to live, I would smile and jump up and down and say, I'm not really here.
So now that we've covered all these different functions, answering where, when, why, and how, let's talk about the position of an adverb clause in a sentence. You should know that adverb clauses are pretty flexible. You can put them at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of a sentence, but there is a small catch because there is a difference when it comes to writing. If an adverb clause starts a sentence, don't forget to use a comma. When the rain stopped, comma, we went outside. If an adverb clause comes at the end of a sentence, you do not need a comma. We went outside when the rain stopped. To be honest, most of the time adverb clauses are going to come at the beginning or the end of a sentence. But sometimes you can stick them in the middle, especially if you want to add some more details. We went outside when the rain stopped to play. In this case, we're using the adverb clause as a non-restrictive clause, which means that it can be omitted. We're just adding some more information. Just be mindful that simple mistakes are often made when writing when it comes to the placement of commas. So the three main takeaways when it comes to adverb clauses: they modify verbs, adjectives, or even other adverbs. They answer questions like when, why, where, and how. And they can also be used and placed at the beginning, middle, or end of a sentence. I know I just gave you a lot of information about adverb clauses, and I'm sure that you were familiar with some of it already, but still, I hope that you learned something new. And if you did learn something new, you can let me know by hitting that like button. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. So long.